So are there times in your life where you feel like your anger protects you? That anger has some useful purpose in your life? Like when people are criticizing you, if you get angry at them, then they'll stop criticizing you. Or if people are harming you, if you get angry at them, they'll stop. Or if you want somebody to do something and they're not complying, if you get angry, then they'll do it. So we often look at anger as, well, there's some kind of benefit. I have some power when I'm angry. So why should I give my anger up? Many years ago, I was asked to speak to some professors from the Department of Communication and Conflict Resolution at, I think it was the University of Michigan, somewhere. And when I talked about the faults of anger, these people who specialize in conflict resolution got really mad at me. And they said, but anger has good qualities. We need to be angry. And I said, oh? And they said, yes, when we're angry, then we know something's wrong. Otherwise, if we don't get angry, people could be taking advantage of us. They could be doing something very damaging, and we don't acknowledge it. The only way we know is if we're angry. Well, I don't agree with that. Okay? Because that presupposes that the only possible reaction or response somebody could have is anger, that there's no other choices. As soon as we say that to ourselves, that any reasonable person would feel this way, there's no other choice, then we limit ourselves. We're back to very narrow thinking again. And actually, I think there's a lot of choices. Because when we're angry, anger has many disadvantages. And as we spoke yesterday, when we're angry, we often do things that obstruct fulfilling our own needs and accomplishing our own goals. Like we were saying, when we're upset with somebody we're very close to, the way we speak to them pushes them away. It doesn't bring them together with us, when what we really want is good communication and some connection at that time. And so it is, if we really look at anger, first of all, how many of you are happy when you're angry? Okay. Right there we know that anger is not conducive for human happiness, because no one is happy feeling it. No one is happy being angry. So, if we're not happy being angry, how can anger be something beneficial to us? Now, when you're angry, we talked about different ways of responding to anger yesterday. The attack mode, the withdraw mode, the ruminating mode, the self-pity mode. Okay? Do any of those modes really accomplish what we want? If somebody isn't doing what we want and we get angry at them, and then because they're afraid of us or they're afraid of punishment, they do what we want, as they say, we've won the battle, but we lost the war. Okay? So this is, you know, you got the person to do what you wanted them to do. Are they happy doing it? No. Will they continue to cooperate with you? They won't cooperate. They may do what you say out of fear, but that isn't cooperation. Do we want people to do what we want them to do out of fear, or would we rather people understand and do it because they want to help? It's much nicer if people do things because they like doing them, isn't it? If people do things that they don't really want to do, we're all pretty miserable. So this is especially difficult with parents and children. Now, of course, when children are very young, they don't yet have the ability to understand many things. So sometimes you have to speak very strongly without being angry, just to convey your point, because you have to wake somebody up. So remember that the behavior is not the emotion. You can speak forcefully out of compassion. You can speak forcefully out of anger. Okay? So, you know, if your kid is going to play in the middle of the street where all the cars are driving, you don't go up and say, "Oh, little Susie, little money. This is a little bit dangerous. Come, let's get out of the middle of the street." Because the kid's not going to listen to you. You have to go up to your kid, because they're little, and pick them up and say, "Do not go in the middle of the street when the cars are coming." You have to do that to get their attention. But if you're not angry, they feel that lack of anger. They feel that you're doing it for their own benefit. Okay? When they're older, what you want to do is somehow get them to learn how to assess and evaluate situations so that they can make decisions. The best way to do that is often not in the middle of the situation. Because in the middle of the situation, things often, you don't have time to discuss. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. If you have time to discuss with your kid then. If not, you may need to do something strong because it's dangerous to get them out of there. But then you need to discuss afterwards and help them learn how to think so that they know how to make good decisions. If you do that when they're young, then when they become a teenager and they're bouncing off the walls and they're totally papa, then it's okay because you know you've done your best and you know they are able to think through situations themselves. But this often requires being calm as a parent. Parents out there, is it easy to be calm with your kids when they're doing something you don't like? It's not very easy, is it? Yeah. Who pushes your buttons more, your kids or strangers? Your kids do, don't they? I mean, kids know exactly how to get to their parents. But sometimes they're not doing it deliberately. They're just trying to learn what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. Yeah. How far can I go on this? Yeah. So it's not necessarily that they're being obnoxious. They're just trying to learn how far to go. but it can be very testing on our patience sometimes. So you need to really kind of step back, do your practice, take a deep breath, and sometimes you have to say, Johnny, Susie, Mommy, Daddy needs a timeout. You know? Instead of you need a timeout, I need a timeout. Okay? And then you want to learn how to calm yourself down, but then come back to the situation so that you can discuss more with them. And so you do this with any person, not just your kids. Sometimes, I mean, if you're really going ballistic inside, then you need to say, please excuse me, yeah, I can't discuss this right now, it's too strong for me. Let me calm down, I'll come back to you later. So don't just stomp off. Tell the person what you're feeling, what you're needing, and that you'll come back. Does anger really protect us? You know, sometimes it feels like it does. Does it really protect us? Again, we may get angry, and the force of our anger may terrorize somebody so that they don't do what they're doing. But that doesn't mean that, you know, we're going to get along well after that. Okay. If you're in a work situation, for example, or a marital situation, and you explode at your partner, you explode at your colleague or your employees or your employer, yeah, you may force them to do something out of fear, but are you going to have a good relationship with them after that? So if you're in a position of authority, and you can humiliate somebody because you're angry at them, you make them feel guilty, you make them feel, you know, that you make them think that they're a complete failure. You never feel like a failure, you think you're a failure. Okay? If we humiliate somebody like that, that's going to really affect the relationship, isn't it? And it's going to affect how much they trust us and how much they're going to be willing to cooperate with us in the future. Okay? So it's always better, instead of venting our anger and forcing somebody to do something, to try and listen to their feelings and needs, see what their concerns are in the situation, and see if there's some solution that can meet all of our wishes, all of our concerns. There's a simple example for this. Two people, there's one orange and two people are fighting over who gets the orange. I want it. No, you can't have it. I want it. No, you got the last one. I'm getting this one. No, you always get them. I'm taking it. So you have a conflict. If you're able to pause and say, okay, why do you want the orange and why do you want the orange? Well, I want the orange because I want to make some orange juice. Why do you want the orange? I want the orange because I want the orange peel because I'm going to put it in a cake for orange flavoring. Oh, there's a way to have both people's needs met. You have the orange pulp and you can have the orange skin of the one orange. We don't need to fight over who gets it. So in many situations, it's very good to really see what is somebody else's concern in the situation. Yeah. What are they looking at? What are their needs? Okay. Another example, when I was a teenager, I didn't get along very well with my parents. Yeah, you're trying to control me. Did you know that when you're 16, that you are as close to omniscience as you're ever going to get in this life? Yeah. When you're 16, you really know everything, don't you? And your parents are exceedingly stupid. So with my 16-year-old omniscience, it's like, you're controlling me. You won't let me be who I am. Everybody else gets to stay out until this time. You have made me have the earliest curfew. Yeah, you don't trust me. So that's what I was saying to them. They were saying to me, we need you to be home by such and such a time. And I came from, my mother is the epitome of worry, a worrier, okay? And I knew that if I was 1 minute late on my curfew, she would be on the phone, and I'm not joking here, with the police saying, my daughter's been kidnapped, she's in a traffic accident, something horrible has happened, you must go look for her. Okay? So I knew I had no leeway. So we weren't getting along very well. You're trying to control me. You don't know how to take care of yourself. Yes, I do. No, you don't. Okay. What was my parents' concern? Safety. What was my concern?
Freedom.
Autonomy, independence. Yeah. We weren't communicating because they were looking at me and thinking, she doesn't want to be safe. Because their concern was safety. She doesn't want to be safe. She doesn't know how to be safe. I was looking at what they were doing. I had no clue they were caring about my safety. I thought they were trying to control me. So we were totally missing each other. We were arguing about different topics. Okay? There might have been a way for me to be more independent and meet their needs to know I was safe. Had we each known what each other's needs were and what each other was fighting about. I was fighting about autonomy, they were fighting about safety. Okay? So in many, many situations, if we stop long enough, and here's where I think NVC is helpful, because it can give us the language to try and ask somebody, what are your needs and concerns? How are you looking at this situation? And it's very important when we ask somebody, what are your needs and concerns? Or even we make a guess. Yeah? Do you need safety? Do you need assurance that I'm going to be safe? Yeah? The more, when we ask people their needs and concerns and they tell us, it's very important that we don't interrupt them and tell them they're wrong. Yeah? But that we listen. Now, what we're going to get into this afternoon is that Marcia's going to be talking about that all people, most of the time, not all the time, but many times what they're really saying is please or thank you. It's just when you're a jackal, you don't say please, my need and concern is this, please, would you be willing to do that? What is your need and concern? I'll try and, see what I can do to help you out. No, very often please comes out, like in the case of my parents, or in the case of any parent, doesn't have to be mine, so you think you're a big grown-up now, you're actually just a pipsqueak and a brat. That is please in jackal. Okay? Yeah. My response of, you're overprotective. You're not like other people's parents. You're trying to control me. You don't trust me and give me any freedom. That is please in jackal. Because what both parties are saying is, I have an unmet need. But they don't know how to say it because they don't know they have an unmet need. All they know is that they're angry and frustrated and they want to control the situation and make the other person do what they want. Because they think that the other person doing what they want is really what's going to bring them happiness. Even if the other person does what they want for the wrong reason. I took many English classes in college. I forgot everything, but I remember one T.S. Eliot quote, from all the English lit and stuff I had to memorize. The last temptation is the greatest treason, to do the right thing for the wrong reason. So when we feel somebody is intimidating us, we may do the right thing. Here it's not necessarily right, but the thing the other person wants. But we don't do it because we agree. And similarly, somebody else may do what we want, but not because they're really happy doing it. And then that comes out later. Yeah, and again, there's going to be another quarrel. So when we really learn to see that anger, yes, anger gives us a big adrenaline rush. It gives us a sense of power. But that power is a false kind of power. It's really not power. Because the person isn't really cooperating. Okay? If we can find a way to communicate with somebody and see how value each of our needs, each of our concerns, and see what we can come up with to meet them, then there's a better chance at a good outcome in the long term. So it's important that we really see the defects of anger. Now, if we don't, then we're going to be enthralled with anger. And we're going to think we can bully everybody else around. And we can't bully people around. This is Trump's big learning lesson. Yeah, he thought once he's elected he could bully everybody. No. Some people go along with him. There's a whole big part of the country. The Women's March, the day after the inauguration, had more people than the inauguration. Okay. So, there needs to be some cooperation going on here for us to function together as human beings who relate to each other. And we're always in relationship to other living beings. You may get so tired that you throw it down and say, I quit, I'm out of here. But your mind's not out of there. You leave the place where you're feeling so much frustration and anger. Unfortunately, your angry mind comes with you. Yeah. The Department of Homeland Security is now making entry into the U.S. so difficult. I really wish they would keep my anger out. And I wish they would not let my self-centeredness and my jealousy and my arrogance in. Yeah? Rejected. No visa for your ignorance. Get out of here. Unfortunately, wherever we go, we take our afflictions with us. Yeah? So we always, eventually, in our own hearts, have to make peace with the situation. Okay, maybe it's time for me to tell you my Sam story. I call it my Sam story. That's not the person's real name. But I won't tell you their real name because the whole Sam story happened here at Istituto Lama Tzongkhapa. Yeah. So I don't want to, that person, the people I'm talking about, by the way, are no longer here. But I don't want to mention names in case anybody knows them. Okay, but first I have a question. Okay? Let me ask the men. Are Italian men macho? And I think Italian men are macho. Oh, none of you. Oh, two of you. Okay. Let me ask the women. Are Italian men macho? Yes. Yes. Okay. Here we're just making general statements. We're not talking about every man. Okay? So, this happened in 1979, 1980. I was sent here to be the disciplinarian of the Sangha community. And there was another nun coming to be the spiritual coordinator. She wound up not coming, so I got both jobs. So, disciplinarian of the Sangha, there were just a few monks here at the time. Gradually, they became more numerous. So, can you imagine, you have a bunch of macho men, and the disciplinarian who has authority is a woman. What do you think? Women, what do you think? Men, what do you think? Okay, so it was kind of like, how could we, maybe Hiroshima. Okay, we just didn't get along. And it was all their fault. Because I'm sweet, innocent, cooperative, kind, benevolent. I don't wish anybody harm. And they are bossy and mean and cruel and spiteful and take advantage of me. And it's all their fault. So we got that clear, right? Who's wrong? Who's right? Who's the victim? Who's at fault? Okay, we got that clear. Yeah. So I had nothing to do with this. It was all them. Yeah. So we had Hiroshima going on. And I could describe to you all the things they did. Some of them were really too much. I mean, really too much. But I won't tell you every last detail of what they did. Do you remember what they did? You probably remember some stories I've forgotten.
When you tell me.
No. He was here at the time, but you were very cooperative. He was sympathetic. Not just any sympathy I could get at that point, because I was a mess. Because remember, I came here and I didn't know I had a problem with anger. I had no idea, because I did not yell and scream. Yeah, in my family, there was yelling and screaming. Those people had a problem with anger, but I didn't yell and scream, so I thought I didn't have a problem with anger. But I would just get so fed up that I would just walk out. Yeah, just like, and I was gone. Yeah. And like I told you, then I would go back to my room, take my package of tissue, take Shantideva chapter 6, calm down, go to sleep, get up in the next morning and do the whole routine again. Okay, because they came up with some other way to torment me. One time, in one community meeting, yeah, and it wasn't just the monks, there was others too, but because I never wanted to give them the satisfaction of letting them know that they were hurting me. So I was defiant, and like I said, I just walk away. One meeting, I thought, I'm done with this. I'm just going to let them see. And I started crying right in the middle of the meeting. That didn't do any good. They just laid into me more. So, I wrote a letter to Lama Yeshe, because it was Lama who had come. And I said, Lama, dear Lama, these people are so mean. They're making me go to the hell realm because I'm creating so much negative karma, getting angry, and it's all their fault that I'm creating negative karma. Again, I have no responsibility. It's all their fault. I can't stand it anymore, Lama. Can I leave? And he writes, we'll talk about it, dear. I'll be there in 6 months. So, I hung out those 6 months. I waited them out. Lama got here. I asked him if I could leave, and he said yes. I went back to India. Yeah, they didn't even give me enough money for the entire trip back to India. But never mind, I was out of here. Okay? And when I went back to India, I went into retreat. Leaving here did not stop the problem for me. I took my anger with me. So I was in retreat for 3 or 4 months, I can't remember now how long. Every session, anger. Take out chapter 6. Yeah. Calm down. End the session. Next session, anger. Yeah. So the whole thing was not over for me until I dealt with my anger. Yeah. Until I healed my anger, my spite, my wish for revenge, my jealousy, until I healed all of that, the situation was still controlling me. Actually, the situation was never controlling me. It was my inner afflictions, my inner defilements that were always controlling me. But before I went into the retreat and learned that, I had gone back to Kopan to see my teachers. And Zopa Rinpoche was there, and he invited me up. So we went on top of where his quarters were, and sat on the roof and had tea. And there was one of the people, the one named Sam, that was tormented me the most. Okay, and so Rinpoche says to me, "Who was kinder to you, the Buddha or Sam?" What in the world is Rinpoche asking you? Who's kinder to me, the Buddha or Sam? Weird question. So I didn't make a face and say, I just sweet to something. So I said, of course, the Buddha's kinder to me than Sam. And Rinpoche just kind of looked at me like, well, you haven't gotten it yet, have you, kid? You still think you're right. And then he went on to give me a little discourse about how Sam was a million zillion times kinder to me than the Buddha was. Can you imagine that? This beep did that. Was kinder to me than the Buddha? Yes, Rinpoche said, because if you want to become a Buddha, he said to me, you need to have bodhicitta. In order to have bodhicitta, you need to have compassion. To have compassion, you have to overcome your anger. To overcome your anger, you need somebody who's harming you. Because unless there's somebody who harms you, there's no way to overcome your anger, which means there's no way to create compassion. There's no way to generate the perfection of fortitude, which is one of the 6 perfections. So there's no way to become a Buddha. So you need sand, because you don't get mad at the Buddha. You can't practice fortitude with the Buddha. You can only practice it with sand. Okay? So this, of course, was not what I wanted to hear. Yeah. What I wanted to hear was Rinpoche saying, yes, I understand completely. So many people tell me how difficult it is to work with sand. So many people tell me, not just about Sam, but all those other monks. Everybody says that it's so difficult for them, they're so, I wanted sympathy. And he wasn't giving me sympathy. Yeah, he was telling me I had inner work to do. So that's when I went into the retreat. And it really wasn't until I worked through all of that my own heart could be peaceful. Yeah. Having some space was nice, I tell you. But if you're still getting angry, even though you're no longer in the situation, then there's, we have some inner work to do. And especially, if I wanted to make any progress in my meditation, I had to do something with my anger. Otherwise, the anger was just, this huge impediment. Okay? So, first thing we need to do is recognize that anger doesn't have any benefit. And it only has fault. And then, second thing we need to do is learn how to counteract the anger. So that's chapter 6. Now, when I was talking the other day about counteracting anger, I was saying that people who are angry are unhappy, they're suffering, and their minds are so confused that they think they're going to get rid of their suffering by doing whatever they're doing that happens to make me very unhappy. Okay? So, instead of seeing these people as mean, awful people who are out to get me, to see them as people who are suffering and unhappy and confused about how to create the causes of happiness. Because that's what's really going on inside of them. If we can see them in that way, we can have compassion for them. Okay? So, if we can look at Osama bin Laden and Donald Trump and Marie Le Pen and I don't know who there is in Italy. Huh? Many. Okay.
Too many.
So if we can look at all of them as individuals who are unhappy, and they're very confused about how to create the causes of happiness. So they're doing all these things that create a lot of negative karma and make other people very miserable. But their real motivation is happiness, or at least the alleviation of their suffering. So the way Marshall describes that is what they're really trying to do is say please, but they're saying please in jackal. Okay? So Marshall says, instead of hearing jackal language, instead of hearing criticism, instead of hearing exploitation or whatever it is, you train your mind so that you hear please. In Dharma language, you train yourself so that you see a suffering, confused person. It comes down to the same point. A suffering, confused person who's saying please. But they're speaking in this weird language of jackal that sounds like, well, if you only had 2 marbles in your head, you wouldn't think like that and you'd do what I said. Something that we usually hear as criticism. But if you train your mind to see the situation in another way, you don't hear criticism. You hear please said by a person who is suffering and confused. That doesn't mean, remember, compassion does not mean you feel sorry for the person. So it isn't that you look at that person and say, I feel so sorry for you. Feeling sorry is disgusting. Yeah? Feeling sorry is actually having contempt. I have contempt for somebody when I feel sorry for them. Yeah, compassion and contempt are very different. Contempt, I'm up here. I'm superior. I do everything right. You are down here, inferior, stupid. And I feel sorry for you, you poor slob. That's feeling sorry for somebody. Big power differential. Okay? Compassion is, we all want to be happy equally. We all want to be free of suffering equally. It's one equal talking to the other. Shantideva gives the example in his book of when we step on a thorn. Yeah? We step on a thorn, the hand reaches down, pulls the thorn out, throws it somewhere so nobody else steps on it, bandages the foot, and we keep walking. That's it. Okay? The hand does not go, foot, again, you stepped on a thorn. I've been telling you to look where you're going. How many times have I told you to look where you're going? And again, stupid, you step on a thorn again. But you are so fortunate to have me, a glorious hand, who is going to now come to your rescue and pull the thorn out, because you can't take care of yourself. Bandage you up. But you remember that I saved you again, and you owe me something for doing this. Okay? That's not what the hand does it? The hand has compassion, reaches down, pulls the thorn out, bandages the foot, keep going. Okay? That's because the hand and the foot see themselves as part of the same organism. The hand doesn't see itself as special and unrelated to the foot. They're part of the same thing. Similarly, if we see ourselves as part of all sentient life, then helping another suffering sentient being is just what you do, because like the hand and the foot, you're part of the same thing. And the hand knows that when it benefits that foot, it helps itself, actually. And so that's why His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, says, if you want to be selfish, be wisely selfish and take care of others. Because if you take care of others, they're going to be happy, and then you get to live among happy people. If you have contempt and spite and you put people down, you're going to live among a lot of unhappy people, and they're going to let you know that they're unhappy. And that's going to impinge on your happiness. Yeah? So, in NVC language, you never hear criticism, you just hear please. And you respond with compassion, one sentient being to another suffering sentient being. It sounds simple. Why is it so difficult? Yeah. It's so interesting to watch our minds. What prevents us? Well, you shouldn't have been in this jam to start with. because you didn't listen to me. It's because you don't listen to anybody. You're so independent, you just go and do your own trip and you expect everybody to come and save you. That's what we're thinking. Okay? So then the thing comes, okay, if we get rid of that jackal mind inside of our head, here's a suffering sentient being. Does that mean we come in and we save them? Yeah. Does helping somebody mean that we do what they want? You have a relative who's an alcoholic who comes and asks you for money, and you know they're going to use the money to buy more booze. Do you give them money? Is that helping them? Is that having compassion for them? If you don't give them money, they're going to make your life miserable. You're my brother, you're my sister, you don't give me money. You know, you think I'm going to go spend it for booze. I'm not going to go spend it for booze. I'm going to go use it for food. And you're so stingy. Yeah, ever since we were kids, you were stingy like this. You would never share anything with me. And now you won't give me any money. You should be ashamed of yourself, they say to us. And we get scared inside. Oh, maybe they're right. I feel so guilty. I'm so selfish. I don't give them any money. They think I'm a bad person. If they think I'm a bad person, I must be a bad person. They're going to tell other people how I didn't give them any money. Then other people are going to think I'm really stingy and bad because I don't help my brother, sister, you know. So we take some money out. We give it to them. Is that helping them? Okay. So what are our motivations? Honor? Yeah, we're attached to our reputation. Why am I giving them money? Not because I really care about them, but I don't want them to go tell other people how mean I am, so that I have a bad reputation. So it's attachment to my own reputation. Also, attachment to praise. I don't like hearing harsh speech directed at me. I don't like people telling me that I'm mean and cheap and nasty and selfish, because I feel guilty and I don't like feeling guilty. So if I buy them off by doing what they want, they won't say that, then I won't feel guilty. Are either of those motivations compassion? No, they're both attachment to myself. One's attachment to reputation. One's attachment to praise. Yeah. Attachment is an affliction. I have no compassion for them. I'm giving them money for myself. They go out, spend the money on booze, get drunk, do some stupid thing. Yeah. So sometimes compassion means that you really have to put the relationship on the line and risk your reputation and be able to endure the harsh words they're saying in order to help them. Yeah. So you have to say, yeah, I hear that you want me to give you money. I will give you money to go to rehab if you stay in rehab. I will not give you money now because I care about you. They may rail, they may rant, they may tell all sorts of stories about us to other people, but our conscience can be clear because we know that we're acting out of genuine compassion for them. And we have to just overcome that attachment that is like a little whimpering child. But I want everybody to love me. I want everybody to say nice things about me. Nobody's allowed to criticize me or say mean things about me or think mean things about me. That's our attachment that wants to buy this person off by giving them the money that they go spend on booze. Yeah? That, it's really like a little whimpering child. Isn't it? Yeah? Please, won't you say nice things about me? Because I don't believe in myself. I need other people to say nice things about me because otherwise I think I'm just horrible. Okay. So that lack of self-esteem, that way that we discourage ourselves, is a tool by which we get manipulated. It's hard to own up to this. We cannot say to somebody, you are manipulating me. We have to say, there is something inside me that is willing to be bought off. Okay? By doing something I know isn't the right thing, that it will save me from getting criticized or having a bad reputation. So the real problem is not that person manipulating me. The real problem is my attachment to reputation and to praise. Okay? So the real problem for me when I was here was not all these macho men. The real problem for me was that I craved praise and I didn't like blame. Because my mind was so confused, I couldn't really discern things well. I didn't have a reliable sense of self-confidence. And I depended on other people to tell me whether I was worthwhile or not. Bad idea. Depending on other people to tell us if we're worthwhile is a bad idea. Because everybody sees us in a different way. And if our self-image depends on what other people think about us, we're going to get very confused. One time when I was living in France, we're going to take a break soon. Just one more story. It's my story. Yeah, it's a story about me, so I got to tell you my story. So, one person came to see me and said, "You are so tight the way you keep your precepts. You are so picky about every single detail of your precepts. You keep everything so immaculate that you are unbearably tight and difficult to be with." A half an hour later, somebody else walks in the room and says, "You are so sloppy the way you keep your precepts. You just treat them like you're nothing. You do whatever you want. You're transgressing here and transgressing there." Okay? If we depend on other people to tell us who we are, to have for our self-image, we're going to get really confused. Because people have radically different images of us. Okay? That's reason number one, not to pay so much attention to what other people think of because it's confused. Reason number 2, not to pay so much attention, not to rely on other people for our self-image, is because other people don't really spend so much time thinking about us. Yeah? We're so attached to our reputation. We're so attached to hearing praise, as if that's all other people ever thought about, was what they think about me. The whole thing occupying their mind. Isn't that what you think about day and night, is what you think about me? Actually, other people have other things to think about, like themselves. They're much more concerned with themselves than they are with us. Okay. And also, when I hear criticism, they're disparaging me over whatever it is today. It's because they are breaking a rule of the universe. One rule of the universe is thou shalt not criticize children. Okay, that's the 11th commandment. So, in my universe, actually, that's not the 11th, that's the first commandment. Thou shalt not criticize me under any conditions. If I make a mistake, you are kind to me and you help me. If I act like a jerk, you pretend that you don't notice. Yeah. If I am totally obnoxious and hurt your feelings, you forget about it. Yeah. Whatever, you do not criticize me. Okay. Rule number 2 of the universe, you do not say anything unnice about me behind my back to another person. Yeah. If you break either of these 2 real rules of the universe, you are going to hell. And I will tell you to go to hell. So whatever you do, not criticize me to my face and do not speak badly about me behind my back. Okay. So if you follow those 2 commandments, see, those are only 2, you don't need the other 10. These 2 are the most important. Then we will all live happily ever after. Okay. So whose problem is this? When I hear criticism, whose problem is it? It's my problem, isn't it? It's not the other person's problem that they're criticizing me. It's my problem that I hear criticism. If I get angry about the criticism and the backbiting, is it the other people's problem? It's my problem. Because I'm attached to reputation and praise. And as long as I have attachment to reputation and praise, there are going to be people who criticize me. Isn't that interesting? As long as I'm attached to reputation and praise, there will be people who criticize me. Why? Because even if they aren't intentionally criticizing me, I will hear criticism. Have you ever said anything to somebody that you thought was totally innocuous and they took offense and, said, why are you criticizing me? And you're stumped, like, what did I say? Well, it's the same thing. You flip it around. Somebody says something that from their point of view is just a comment about the weather, and we take it personally. Yeah? So as long as I am attached to praise and reputation, I will hear criticism. Yeah. And we can see it. We can see it. In your family. I have to stop talking. One more story. In your family. Yeah? Your family comes down for breakfast and, your partner doesn't say good morning. They sit down at the table and say, where's the peanut butter? Instantly. They are mad at me. They didn't say good morning. I saw that look on their face. They're mad. They're criticizing me. What did I do? I haven't done anything. And again, I can tell they're criticizing me because of the way they looked, and they didn't say good morning. And the first thing they said was, where's the peanut butter? Because they're blaming me for not having the peanut butter on the table. They never respect me. Always it's like this. They think I'm trash. Maybe I am trash. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I am selfish. I must have done something really awful and not even knowing about it because I'm so defective, and that's why they didn't say good morning to me. Something's wrong with me, really. Oh. So, anger, lack of self-confidence. Yeah? Anger at the other person, anger at myself. The whole thing is conceptual garbage. Garbage is spatsadura? See, I remember some important things. Spatsadura importante. Yeah? Spatsadura conceptuale. Yeah? So, that's all it is. Whether it's my anger at the other person, conceptual garbage, my feeling that there's something wrong with me, conceptual garbage. Yeah? When the Buddha says that our mind is overwhelmed by afflictions, this is what he's talking about. That we have all these kinds of thoughts, and we cannot see that they are spatsadura. We think they're true. Yeah. We think garbage is truth. So when the Buddha says sentient beings suffer from ignorance, when we look at inside, you know what? He's right. The Buddha knows what he's talking about. And I so much believe my garbage that I don't realize it's garbage. I think it's the truth. And I spend day and night worrying about the truth. Don't think about the lack of inherent existence at all. Don't think about compassion for sentient beings at all. Something's wrong with me. They're attacking me. That's what I think about all the time. Yeah. total waste of our human potential. Yeah. We have the potential to become a fully awakened Buddha. And we use our potential sitting there or it's really sad. It's really sad. So we need to have some kindness and compassion for ourselves, that we're stuck in this way. Compassion for ourselves means we want to get out of samsara. We have renunciation for samsara. We really care about ourselves. We want to get out of samsara. Because wherever you are in samsara, wherever we are in cyclic rebirth, it's the same old story. So I feel that I'm not good enough. I feel that I'm worthy and frequently try to please others. So guilt and shame. How is it possible to have a constructive sense of self-worth that does not depend on others? How to feel good enough? How to accept oneself? So this was probably written by 90% of the audience. Maybe 99% you wrote one question together. Okay? Yeah, so this is a big problem that most of us have. And so I think one antidote to this is just recognizing the garbage talk that's in our mind. You know, how we talk to ourselves and just say the most horrible, ludicrous things that are totally false. So I think it's very helpful when you are aware of that self-talk, write down what you're saying. I am unworthy. Yeah, I can't do anything right. Nobody loves me. Whatever it is, write it down. And then look at it and say, is that true? Yeah, I am unworthy. Wait a minute. I got my high school diploma. Maybe I graduated from college. I landed a job. I did all these different things in my life. I've had many friendships. There's different hobbies I've learned, different things I've accomplished. So what is this that I say I'm not worthy? I've done many things that I think are worthy in my own heart. And many other people think that they're worthy too. Not that I'm looking for their confirmation. But, you know, I've done things that I consider valuable. So how can I say I'm not worthy? That's totally not true. And take out the next one. Nobody loves me. Really? Yeah. They may not love us in exactly the way we want to be loved. They may not show us love in the way we wanted the love shown. But is it fair to say nobody loves me? Really? Really? Yeah. If you have a pet, does your cat or dog love you? You bet they love you. Yeah. Family members, even the family members who yell and scream at you, do they love you? Yeah. One of the reasons they yell and scream is because they want to connect. That's their way of saying I love you. It's a jackal, horrible way of saying I love you. But they do care. Yeah. What about friends? I have 0 friends. Really? In this whole wide world, I have 0 friends? Come on. As soon as you talk to somebody, that person becomes your friend, usually. Maybe not a friend, a tight friend. You've only had 30 seconds of conversation. But every time we contact people, people are coming into our lives, we're going into their lives. How can I say nobody cares about me? It's not true. I am defective. Defective? Yeah. There was a company, a factory thing. And when I went by on the assembly line, I was stamped defective. Because all my wires were crossed. No, that's not what happened. What does defective mean? Well, there's just something wrong with me. Wrong? Like what? I don't know. There's just something wrong with me. Who's creating right and wrong? By whose definition is this right or wrong? And if you don't know what it is that's wrong, how can you discern it as wrong? You talk to that self-critical mind. And when you talk to that self-critical mind and get it to explain itself, either it's dumbfounded because it realizes it doesn't know what to say, or it says something that you can easily refute. So I find it very helpful to really look at those thoughts and see how they just plain aren't true. Then second thing, to remember Buddha nature, that the fundamental nature of our mind is pure, that the defilements have not entered into the nature of the mind. So if that's the case, then I can become a fully awakened Buddha. So if I can become a fully awakened Buddha, how can I say I'm defective, I'm unworthy, I'm unvaluable, I can make everything go wrong? But those aren't the qualities of somebody who can become a fully awakened Buddha. Well, I'm so angry. Yeah, but okay, you have a habit with anger. You talk to yourself. But that habit is not who you are. Our bad habits are not who we are. They're just certain thoughts, certain behaviors that we've done many times. They are not who we are. They are not our essence. And we really do have the ability to become fully awakened Buddhas. So I think remembering that is also helpful. And then remembering that we have a precious human life, with the opportunity to practice the Dharma, and that the conditions to have a precious human life are very rare and difficult to come by. So the fact that we have this lifetime with these opportunities means that whoever we were in a previous life did something really good. Yeah? Whoever we were created a whole lot of virtue and had a really good attitude, a lot of kindness, some wisdom, because if that, because otherwise, how would I have created the causes to have this rebirth? So whoever I was in the past, I have to thank that person. And I'm a continuity in the now of who that person was then. Okay. And then to learn to accept ourselves, I think what I've learned in that is that it's very closely related to stopping being jealous, stopping my jealousy. Yeah? Because I'm jealous of other people because I want to have those qualities or opportunities or whatever it is. And I think that I don't have them. So I want to have them and I don't want that other person to have them. But if I say, you know, what I am now is good enough, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. There's another thing Lama Yeshe used to say a lot. He had these little phrases that he said. One of them was, good enough, dear. Good enough, dear. Yeah. And so to learn to say to yourself, good enough, dear. I don't have to be perfect. Yeah. Nobody said I had to be a Buddha by now. What I did was good enough. It's what I did. So it's got to be good enough. Yeah. Not perfect. I can improve in the future. So saying good enough, dear, doesn't mean that I just sign off and I don't try and improve. I can try and improve. But what I've done so far is good enough. It's gotten me where I am now, and that's a good stepping stone. And I can rejoice that there's people who are better than me, because then there's people I can learn from. Yeah. And if I were the best one that this world had to offer, frankly, we would be in very bad straits. Okay? To tell you the truth, I don't really know how to make everything in this world run. So I'm glad there's people who know more than me. I can change a light bulb, but I don't know how electricity works. I can turn the key on a car, but I can't make a car or fix a car. I'm really glad there are people who are better than me and know this kind of stuff. Okay. Otherwise, if I'm the best, we're back at cave people's day. Yeah? Okay. Is it possible to have a romantic relationship without attachment? If yes, what would it look like? Let's go on to the next question. Now, everybody, of course, wants me to say yes as an answer to that question. And what would it look like? You remain totally over the moon, in love with each other, romantic with each other, every single moment until you are 105 years old, and then you hold hands and you die together in total love. Okay, next question. So, I can't answer that question for you. Is it possible to have a romantic relationship without attachment? I can answer it for me. And I decided no. Yeah, because I saw what happens to my mind when I get romantically involved with somebody. My expectation factory produces clouds of expectations. Clouds of shoulds, ought tos, supposed tos. You are supposed to be like this. You should be like this. You ought to be like this. Yeah. And I realize my mind goes completely nuts when I'm attached to somebody. Yeah. I have a very difficult time seeing that person realistically. Okay. So, I wish you that you can do better than I can with that. Yeah? I think the question maybe is, how do I lessen attachment in a romantic relationship and strengthen the actual love? Maybe that's a better question. Yeah. How do you get rid of attachment? Lam Rim tells us many ways. But one way is to realize that that person is an individual with their own karma, their own way of thinking, and that you cannot control them. And you can't make them be what you want them to be. And you can't ensure that you're always going to be together. Because as soon as something comes together, it's right to go apart. There's never something that stays together forever. Whatever comes together always separates. So to be aware of that. Yeah. Like this cup is already broken. Yeah. Being broken is in the nature of this cup. It hasn't broken yet, but in a way it's already broken. Because there's no way it's going to stay in one piece forever. Okay, if I know that and I accept that, much better. If I don't know that and I don't accept it, when it breaks, then I go crazy. Okay, if I expect this cup to always be there with me, wherever I travel, this cup follows me around. And it always has, when I want to drink something hot, it always has a hot drink. When I want to drink something cold, it always has a cold drink. Yeah. That this cup is a wish-fulfilling cup that will fulfill everything I want, even when I don't know I want it. If I have that kind of expectation of this cup, that cup's going to go. Who do you think you are thinking? Or who do you think I am? You expect me to be like that? I didn't sign up for that job description. In taking the precept, does that mean never eating meat or fish which has been killed for human consumption? Okay, now I'll tell you the standard party line answer, and then I'll tell you what makes sense to me. The standard party line answer is that if the meat has been killed specifically for you, or if you killed it yourself, or if you asked someone else to kill it for you, then you should not eat it. Meaning, you don't do those three and then not eat it. It means you don't do those three. You don't kill it yourself, you don't ask somebody else to do it, and you don't suspect that they did it for you. And so they say the rest of it is okay, you can eat. In my mind, I don't think you can totally say that eating meat is 100% karma free. Because in our economy, it's supply and demand. We create the demand, then the supply is going to be there. Now, we may not have asked a specific individual to kill that specific animal, but so that's good, at least we didn't do that. But still, I think there's got to be some karma in it. Let me ask you this question. Would you give up your life for somebody else's lunch? Yeah? Would you give up your life for somebody else to have lunch? I don't think so. So then I have to ask myself, why do I expect another being to give up their life for my lunch? So His Holiness Dalai Lama encourages us to be vegetarian. He also says that sometimes, due to some people's metabolism and so on, that isn't always possible. So he says he himself is a part-time vegetarian. But also, I'm sure he does prayers for whatever being he eats, so that that being can have a good rebirth, so that, and I'm sure His Holiness feels the responsibility to practice well, so that in future times when he meets the continuity of that animal, he can help that animal in a Dharma way along the path to awakening. Okay. So I think everybody has to make their own choice. Yeah? If you have health concerns, you decide to eat meat. There's a mantra to say for, blessing the meat, and feel a sense of gratitude to the animal, and really feel that you have some responsibility to practice well, so that in future lives you can benefit the incarnation of that animal. Okay. You know how I became a vegetarian? It was before I even became a Buddhist. So I was traveling in Germany. We were going places and camping. And we went and we got some sausage at the grocery store, and we were cooking it over the fire, and then we cut open and blood came out of this sausage. Yeah, they have a sausage in Germany, it's called blood sausage. Mm-hmm. So blood came out of this sausage. And at that point, it hit me, I'm eating somebody else's body. It had never really hit me before that when I eat meat or chicken or fish, I'm eating someone else's body. And that kind of did it for me. After that, my appetite for eating other people's body went down. Yeah. Of course, when I went to visit my parents, they said, "Hey, what are we going to serve you to eat? You don't eat meat. What do you eat? Salad. There's nothing to cook you." Yes, I eat salad. There's plenty of stuff that I'll eat. Yeah. Then why don't you eat meat? Because I don't want to eat meat. Yeah. I'll cook my own meal if it makes you feel better. Yeah? So it was just another thing my parents had to get used to with their crazy daughter. No? My poor parents, what they went through. Okay, sometimes anger is an expression of pain that masks an unmet need. You bet it is. Yeah. Why do we get angry? Because we're afraid? We're feeling pain? I mean, actually, why do we feel afraid? Because we're feeling pain or we anticipate pain. Yeah, so anger is actually very much related to attachment. The more attached we are to something, the more we fear losing it, the angrier we get when we're threatened with losing it. Okay, please expand regarding the connection between the difficulty of expressing pain and using anger instead. Why I think it's hard to express pain when it's actually pain that's behind the anger is because our jackal mind says to ourselves, pain means weakness. I don't want to look weak. I am weak, but I don't want to look weak. But are you really weak when you experience pain? Is that true, saying to yourself, I am weak, but I don't want to look weak? When you have pain, does pain equal weakness? Yeah. Are you bad if you experience pain? Well, our society tells us we should always be happy. Okay. Pain comes with having this body. Pain comes with having a mind that is afflicted by defilements. Yeah. Pain is part of our life. Mental and physical pain are part of our life. It doesn't mean we're weak. It means we're human. Yeah. So, but when we aren't aware that pain is just part of life, and that pain does not equal weakness. Then we think, I'm weak, I can't admit I'm weak, because then other people will either take advantage of me, or they won't respect me, or they'll think badly of me. So I've got to put on this face of being strong. Whether I am or not, I'm going to lie and pretend to be strong so that they don't think bad things of me. Yeah. So anger, when we're angry, we get a big shot of adrenaline. Yeah. And when that adrenaline goes, boy, we feel strong. Look at those muscles. You know, whether they're physical muscles, look. Or their mental muscles, we feel when we're angry, now I can protect myself. Actually, I think anger is weakness. Because when we're angry, we can't think clearly. We make really bad decisions when we're angry. Think about it. Think about some times when you were really, really angry. Did you make good decisions then? What did you, when you were really angry, what did you say to the people you care about the most? You don't even want to repeat it, do you? Did those people trust you more after you said that? No, they trusted you much less. It takes a lot of time to build trust, very little time to break it. Okay. Anger is weakness. Yeah. So anger masks as strength, but it's not our friend. It doesn't really help us. I can't remember the situation I was in. It had to do something with one of the inmates that I was with. And, we were having a discussion. I was not threatened at all. Okay, not at all. But I remember saying to that person, some big guy, I said, if somebody like you decided to attack me, I'm done for. Yeah? I just won't do it. Yeah? When your muscles are like that. And I completely admitted my weakness in front of that person. And I felt a sense of strength in being able to say that. It was weird, yeah. But to be able to be honest and to say that clearly without pretending to be something I'm not actually gave me a sense of inner strength. I can't explain it, but it did. Yeah. Not that I want to meet somebody like that in a dark alley, But I might just say something to that person too. Yeah? You really want to pick on somebody like me? I don't think I'd say that. That would just make them madder. Okay?